Welcome to another edition of Inside Guyana. On behalf of our cameraman Ravi and producer Prakash, I want to say thank you for tuning in to ITV today. Our special guest on today's program is a prominent name and personality, a pleasant personality. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the granddaughter of Dr. Cheddi Jagan and Janet Jagan, former presidents of Guyana. Vrinda Jagan, welcome to the program Inside Guyana.
Thank you, Rudy. I appreciate you having me here.
Vrinda, you are an attorney, I understand, in the form of Bainton&Lynch, and you have an office in Richmond Hill in the heart of the Guyanese community, Liberty Avenue. And you probably have been providing services to the Guyanese community and interacting with them. It probably might be very, very difficult for you because apart from coming to you with issues, they would want to discuss all Guyanese other matters like politics and food and what's going on back home and all of that, and taking up your time because you have to make a living, you have to do your professional work. So how difficult that is to you?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. I'm a very friendly person. I enjoy talking and interacting, especially with people from back home. I love it. I love reminiscing and hearing stories about the things that my grandfather did because everybody comes in with a story usually. So I wouldn't say it's difficult. I enjoy it. I make myself available. A lot of attorneys don't do that, but I do. I don't mind it. I enjoy it. I enjoy interacting and, like I said, reminiscing and giving people my opinion. And a lot of people, I'm lucky, they respect my opinion. So
you're following in the footsteps of your grandparents and your dad as well.
I really, really try my best to live my life in a way that would make my grandparents proud, especially my grandfather. He passed away when I was very young. So I have a lot of memories of him, but I never had those conversations that I would have loved to have with him as an adult. So I really try to live my life in a way that I know would make him proud. And one of those ways is helping the Guyanese people, even if it's helping from here in New York.
Vrinda, can you share some of the private moments with our viewers that you had with your grandparents? I'm sure they would love to hear that.
I mean, there are so many to choose from.
What are some of the most memorable ones?
One of the greatest memories, I have two very great memories that I hold of my grandfather that I think about all the time. And one is just he was being a grandfather. He used to take us swimming at Castellani House or Colgrain when we were younger, when he was the president of a country. And we kept asking him, the other grandkids and I, we kept asking, Grandpa, can you dive off the diving board? And some of the guards said, he's a president, he can't dive off of a diving board. And all of a sudden, I hear a big splash. I turn around and the board is flapping and there comes my grandpa out of the water. And I know it doesn't seem like much, to most people, but to me, he was just playing with us. He loved us. And then one of the other things that I really hold dear is my memory of him when we would drive around in his car when he was president, and he would wind the windows down and wave to people and even let people hold his hand. And, obviously he was he was loved by everyone, which was quite clear when he passed away and the whole country came out, and that's one of the other memories. But he used to wind down the windows. And
so while he was driving?
While the guards were, he used to have a driver.
Right, okay.
And believe me, it wasn't a fancy car or anything. But he would wind down the windows no matter how much they told him, it's not secure, you can't do that. He didn't care. He would wind them down and wave and talk to people as we drove by, if we were driving slow enough. And he was just a regular guy.
Okay, and what about your grandmother now?
My grandmother, I have a lot of memories with her, and a lot of memories as I got older too, because she, only recently passed away a few years ago. So I have a lot of memories with my grandmother, and just to the same extent.
Yeah, what are some of the most memorable ones?
God, there are so many to choose
That
from.
you want to remember.
The ones that I want
can't forget.
The ones that I remember are of both of them. When we actually, my family lived with them at State House, and we had one of our little dogs there. And she loved him. She actually, once we left, she kept him, and just running around the house and playing, and we were little kids causing mischief, and she was always there and playing with us, and she used to have these little slippers that she would wear that made a little noise when she walked, and just things like that stick in your head as a kid, especially. And as we got older, we would discuss books. We both loved to read. She had a little library in her house, and I think I'm one of the only grandkids that actually enjoys reading. So we bonded over that as well.
So, I don't know if this is too private. If it's too private, don't answer.
Okay.
What kind of memorabilia did she or your grandparents leave with you?
My grandparents, and you don't need me to say this, they weren't people that cared about material things. My grandmother, when she passed away, she left me a necklace with pearls, and there's a pendant in the middle. So that's what she left me. When my grandfather passed away, I don't even know if he had a will. I was very young. But what they left us really was their good name and their legacy. To me, that's more important than anything is, I'm well aware that the reason I have clients coming in initially with my legal practice is because of my name. But, it takes me and the further steps that I take to maintain that firm and a good name for myself. But I'm very lucky to have had grandparents like them that did so much for one country, and they're well known around the world. And to me, that's really what they left me. To me, it's not about the material things. It's about that, the good name and all the, the attributes that they taught me as I'm now, I say a young lady, but I'm a grown woman now, and I try to exercise the things that they taught me daily.
Don't you sometimes, in retrospect, reflect on some of the things that you could have achieved or obtained from being in such a prestigious family?
What? I'm sorry.
Material things. You never imagine, look, the president of a country, he was supposed to leave you X, Y, and Z amount of money, and this property and that property and all of that. That goes with high positions in most government offices.
No way. It's it's not about that.
So
we all know that my grandfather did not care about money or material.
No, I'm talking about you. Do you sometimes reflect on
that they should have?
If only he had left.
No. I really don't, and I'm 100% honesty. I know I could sit here and say no because it looks right, but no, of course not. They left me with, I'd like to think, their brains. They're very smart people, educated people.
Yes, they're genius.
And my father, I adore him. He told us since we were little kids that we have to become a doctor, dentist, a lawyer. And, I don't think I would do that with my own kids, but I appreciate the fact that he that he encouraged me to become a lawyer. Because one of his biggest things for his daughters, because there's two of us, was we need to be able to take care of ourselves. We shouldn't have to depend on a husband or a man to take care of us. And I appreciate that, and and it stems back from my grandparents because my dad followed Grandpa Cheddi and became a dentist. So I don't, material stuff to me, they left us their good name, and that's what we have.
Yeah, money can't buy
the Jagan, and that's
but a good name can allow you to earn forever.
It's a name I'm very proud to wear. I am.
I think all Guyanese are proud of that name. Despite whatever political views they may have. as a human being, I think, it's a great man. Vrinda, let us go back a little bit now into your practicing here in New York among the Guyanese. What are some of the things that they discuss with you? You know, there are going to be elections in May, right?
Yes.
May the 11th. And do they discuss like politics with you?
Yeah, you know, I'm very friendly with my clients or potential clients that come in for consultations, or even just members of the community as I speak at various events. And it goes with the territory. My name is Jagan. They know who I am, and they strike up conversations, and those conversations usually turn to politics. And you know, that's what it is, and I respect it, and I try to live up to what people need from me in terms of that. I encourage people to get out and vote, for them to encourage their families back home to get out and vote, and to vote for who you feel will represent you the best, not for who someone else tells you to vote for. Because I can't tell you who to vote for. You have to vote for who you believe will represent you the best way.
You seem to be very knowledgeable about the Guyanese reality today, political reality, I want to say. What do you know about what's happening in Guyana today? You know, people talking about corruption, they talk about ministers abusing people in the public, women, and there was a former president who is being accused of abusing his wife and that. And you as an attorney, you've had many cases here, I'm sure, about dealing with domestic violence. How do you, are you aware of these issues taking place in Guyana?
Yeah, I mean, I try to stay up to date as possible as I can with what's going on in Guyana. That's home. I was born and raised in America, but Guyana is home, plain and simple, and I think most Guyanese feel that way. I stay up to date, and I stay involved in the community, and I don't think that women should tolerate domestic violence, and they should get out and seek help. I have a lot of women that come to me because they're in an abusive relationship, and I don't mean to say that it's so easy to get out, but what I mean is they should seek help.
Did you ever meet Vashti Jagdeo, Vashti Singh?
No, I don't think I have. I may have.
Okay.
I may have over the years.
What do you think about the recent incident in Guyana in which the Minister of Health said some things to an activist, a female activist in Guyana? Are you aware of that incident?
Yeah, I think.
And if you're aware, can you tell us your views on that? How would you, from your perspective as a woman, characterize that kind of behavior?
Listen, of course I've heard about it. I think everybody has, and I think it's unacceptable. I think it's disgusting and unacceptable, and there should be zero tolerance for, especially someone in a high position such as his, to disrespect women in that way and to threaten someone in that way, especially a woman. We've come a far way in terms of women's rights, and we can only go further. Everything is twice as hard for us, and we shouldn't be subjected to things like that. And it disgusts me, quite frankly.
If your mother was around, how would she have reacted?
I think if my grandmother... I think if my grandmother were alive, she would have been equally disgusted and called for his immediate termination. I really do. It's unforgivable, actions like that.
There was another incident, not I think by the Attorney General or something like that, in which he, in a telephone conversation, issued some kind of a threat to some media person. Are you aware of that?
I vaguely feel like I've heard about that one as well. And there was, what was it, just a threat that he made over the phone? And
then he spoke something about some little girl and...
Listen, I don't care if you're the president or if you're a low level in the ministry working. Zero tolerance. No one should be threatening women, okay? I'm sorry. We have enough domestic violence. Guyana is the top place in the Caribbean for domestic violence. And if our ministers are threatening our women, what does that say? That shouldn't happen.
There seems to be a kind of a contradiction here. These people are behaving like that, but they all belong to your grandfather's political party, the party that he founded, the People's Progressive Party. So, you know, it's in your camp. How would you handle that? What advice do you have?
I mean, I think the advice is simple, is you need to weed out the bad.
Oh.
I'm sorry, you do. I mean, like I...
Although they are in your party?
Of course. I think a part of being a good leader is being able to identify the weak links and the people that really don't belong. And I think my grandfather would have been able to identify that, and he would have weeded them out and gotten rid of them.
Vrinda, can I challenge you now to look at the viewers, look at the people watching this program, and advise President Donald Ramotar on this subject?
I think President Ramotar, I've met him, he's a very nice man. I think you should have a zero tolerance for anyone threatening women. Anyone in your government that's threatening women and treating women with such blatant disrespect, I think you should get rid of them. I think it'll make the PPP a stronger party.
And on the subject of corruption, of which you're aware, can you also advise him?
President Ramotar, again, I've personally met him. He's a very nice man. I think the only way for the People's Progressive Party, my grandfather's party, to progress or stay in power is to get rid of the corruption. Start from within. I don't think this is the end of the PPP. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not endorsing either party here today. What I'm saying is start from within and make it that party that so many people believed in and lived for and still live for. Because you still have diehards. I see them every day. I'm in Richmond Hill. I see them every day. They love that party and they love my grandfather. Let's make his legacy alive. It's not too late. I don't think it's too late.
So you think they can correct that?
I think there's no place for corruption. You may say I'm naive and I'm young and I'm this and I'm that, but there's no place for corruption. Whether it's with the coalition or whether it's with the PPP, we need to get rid of it. We need to stop it. Because we could be a great country. We could progress. We could further education. We could further economic development. We could be one of the biggest countries in the Caribbean and one of the most, powerful. Why can't we be? We've come so far. Let's keep moving forward. And again, whether it's the Guyanese people decide they want to move forward with a new party, whether they decide they want to give the PPP another shot, it's up to the Guyanese people. But if the PPP is, if they're given another shot, I know that there are good people in that party. I know that. But there's clear corruption. And if I were to come here and say there's no corruption, Jagan's legacy is being upheld, I'd be a liar. I'm sorry, I would be.
So you're saying his legacy is not being upheld?
I say that
because he
could do more. The PPP should be doing more and they should be doing better, yeah. I'm not saying that it's the end, though. That's not what I'm saying.
You said there's room for correction.
There is.
And it should be corrected.
It should be, of course.
Now let us turn a little bit on another issue. The former president recently, Jagdeo, compared his property, his elaborate property, if you want to call it that, with that of your grandfather's property. Is that something you think fair?
I don't even think I need to distinguish that with an answer. I mean, my grandfather's house has been the same.
You were there, right?
Same. I was just there. I took my 2-year-old son.
Oh.
I took him all around. I took him to what's now known as Heritage House, which was my grandmother and grandfather's house, the house that
In Bel Air?
in Bel Air that looked the same since I was a little girl until the last time I saw it was before my grandmother passed away. It's looked the same since I was very young.
So it's a humble
Of course.
place.
Come on, of course.
So it's nothing that you can compare with the mansion that
No.
this guy. No.
I mean, it was.
It's like a big
I mean,
joke.
it's
right?
open to the public. Anybody could go take a look at it if they'd like to see it. You know, it was a modest home, and they lived a modest, simple life. I remember my grandfather used to enjoy gardening. They had tons of fruit trees in that yard. I stood in front of the tamarind tree with my son and told him all the times I climbed the tree as a young girl.
Did he have a swimming pool inside the yard? No?
No.
Okay.
Have you ever been to the house?
No.
No? Yeah, no. There's no pool. It's a nice big piece of land, yeah. But it's a very modest house. Small bedrooms.
What kind of car your grandfather had, his personal car?
That, I couldn't tell you what kind of car because, again, I was so young.
Oh.
But I do remember a very small, I feel like it was blue, but I could be wrong. But it was a little car. I don't remember. Did it come
Was
on?
it a Vauxhall or something?
I don't
You
remember.
can't remember. Okay.
Like it was very
Interesting,
small. Yeah.
I can imagine.
I don't even know if I've ever was in a car with him when he drove. Could he drive? Probably.
Okay. Now coming back to your grandmother a little bit, it's not fair to talk only
Of
about your
course.
grandfather. Let's talk about your grandmother. She was American born, and I'm sure she in herself had her legacy also. She became president. She was very active in Guyana politics. What are some of the things that you remember about her involvement in politics? Did she actually talk to you about that, or any one of your family members ever discuss this with you? Her stance or position on, let's say, domestic violence, women's issues, and so on?
I know that she was very passionate, and I think a lot of people say I look like her. I don't know if that's true. I don't see it. I think I look like Joey, but you know, I know that she was passionate, and I think I get some of my passion from her, especially when it comes to women's rights and domestic violence, those kind of things. As a woman, I think that we should be encouraging all women to seek help and get out there and, you know, advocate. And I think she was very involved in those things in Guyana. From, you know, what I've read and what I've seen. Unfortunately, I was, you know, in and out of Guyana in her later years, and she was much older. And I was, you know, studying over here. I would visit every Christmas, every summer, up until just a few years ago. But she was very involved. I think we all know that. She was active in the movement, in the independent movement. So she was very, very involved and deserves her credit as well.
And she wrote some books, I understand.
Yeah, she did.
Do you have copies of those books?
I do.
Yeah. Do you have copies of your grandfather's
I
book?
do.
How many books did he write?
I'd say maybe, was it 7? Was it 7 of them?
I can't remember.
I have a stack of his books next to my bed. Like I said, I don't lie when I say they're my inspiration. They really are.
Do you read them sometimes?
I do.
What are some of the most interesting things that you find in those books?
You know, the West on Trial, he starts that book talking about his childhood and then coming to America and then meeting my grandmother, and he says it was love at first sight. And it's hard for me to even get past those few chapters because I start crying because it's sad to read, you know, and
Reminisce.
and I enjoy it. I enjoy reading and learning more about my grandparents, but it's often hard to do, and just on an emotional level.
So, do you plan to promote those books in any way, or continue like updating those books, having a new version?
I'm pretty sure my my aunt Nadira in Canada takes care of all of that stuff.
Oh, she's involved.
Yeah,
in
I'm pretty sure she's involved, actively involved in the books and that sort of stuff. I know that they are available at Red House for those of you in Guyana, And for those of you interested in purchasing them over here, get in touch with me and I'll figure out how to get them to you. But they're books that all Guyanese should read. The struggle.
So our viewers watching this program, if you need to purchase or get copies of the books written by the Jagans, please contact Vrinda Jagan here, the granddaughter of Dr. Cheddi Jagan, and she'll be able to assist you. And if you have any legal issues and you want to ask her for her professional service or help, she's here and she's telling us that she's willing to help you. So Vrinda, let us turn to your other side now, your family side. I'm not going to ask you two personal questions. You mentioned you raised it, not me, that you have a 2-year-old son. So you're married, you have a family, and you're taken care of, and you work as an attorney. Do you cook?
Oh gosh, you can't ask me that kind of question. I cook, but my cooking isn't very good, but my son loves it. I don't know if my husband loves it.
What do you cook? Tell us.
I don't cook Guyanese food, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
My grandmother on my mom's side keeps promising to teach me how to make roti, but I don't think I want to learn because my husband loves it, and I don't want to have to make it. Listen, I work all day.
You buy the roti in the shop in Liberty, right?
My grandmother makes it for us. She does. I can't do everything. Come on.
She used to make it.
No. My grandmother on my mom's side.
Oh, okay.
She makes us the roti.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But to be quite honest, I'm not
that's Nadia.
Yes, my mom.
What's her maiden name again?
Mohan.
Mohan, Nadia Mohan. Okay, so that's Mr. Chuck Mohan's sister.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're related.
Yes.
So that's
not just related. That's my favorite uncle.
He's your uncle.
Yes.
Chuck Mohan.
Yes.
He's a powerful guy in terms of size and his voice, and he's such a nice personality. And I think all these things, your family is attracting, it seems, only people with good character traits.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that most people in the Jagan family try to give back as much as they can. We all try in our own different ways.
Well, Vrinda, we're coming towards the end of our interview, and here's an opportunity for you to look our viewers in the eyes, look at the Guyanese people who will be watching this program, and on behalf of your late grandparents, Dr. Cheddi Jagan in particular, your mother Janet Jagan, your father Joey Cheddi Jagan Jr., and your mom, people with good integrity, if you want to say high integrity, esteem background, which you inherited. Please look at them and give them any message, tell them anything you personally want to say on behalf of all the people that you're so close with.
Well, to my fellow Guyanese and home and abroad, I can't speak for my entire family because that wouldn't be doing everybody justice, but I can speak for myself. And I'd like to once again encourage all the youths to get out there and vote. This is your future. Vote for the party that you feel will best represent you. I'm not telling you who to vote for. You vote for who you feel will best represent you. And I really would also like to encourage everyone from all sides to unify as one. We are all Guyanese, and that's how it should be. We should be one. This racial division that continues to hinder the country, it really needs to end in this year, 2015. And then finally, I'd like to say, no matter what the decision is, come next week, let's please keep the violence out. There's no need for violence. Violence will accomplish nothing. Let's respect whatever decision the Guyanese people make. And that's really my message to my fellow brothers and sisters here and abroad.
I think you have another message. You want to tell him that you have a law firm.
Oh, yeah.
And you want to provide service. Please go ahead.
And you guys, if you ever want to chat, if you have a legal issue or you just want to chat, like I said, I'm very friendly. You can come on into the office. I have one in Queens. That's where I am most of the time, in the Queens-based office, right there on Liberty Avenue. And you can check out our website for the address and information.
Yeah, let me tell him the address. It's 11512 Liberty Avenue, Suite 2A, Queens, New York, 11419. And the telephone number, I think it's on the screen, 718-848-4616. So, Vrinda, Jagan, I give you a plug there.
Thank you.
A commercial.
And thank you again, Rudy, for having me. I
think
appreciate
you deserve that, and it is a pleasure having you. I'm sure opportunities will arise in the future for our further interaction. On behalf of all of us here in ITV Studio, Vrinda, thank you very much. On behalf of our cameraman, Mr. Ravi, and our producer, Prakash, and all the members and staff of ITV Studio here in Long Island City, thank you for watching. This is yours truly, Dr. Rudy Jadoopat.